One of the longest running stories in Judaism, going right back into the Old Testament and right through into the 20th century, is which of these Jews is the really loyal one. In the days of Elijah, when Elijah meets King Ahab, Ahab says, "Is it you, you troubler of Israel?" And Elijah says, "It isn't me that's troubling Israel, it's you and your father's house." We find again and again in movements during the Bible times and in the post-biblical period, questions about, we think we're the really loyal Jews and we think you are being disloyal to Judaism. And that is a constant debate which runs through. So when you find then John the Baptist, was John the Baptist being disloyal to Judaism or being anti-Jewish because he said the axe is laid to the roots of the tree and God can now call children for Abraham from these stones? No, this is a strange new fulfillment of the Jewish prophecies. So with all that in mind, when we see what's going on in the trial of Jesus, when we see what's going on even between Jesus and his disciples, all of whom seem to misunderstand him, it's not that some of them are being anti-Jewish or let alone anti-Semitic. What would that mean? This is an inner Jewish debate. And when Jesus is confronting the high priest or the Pharisees, these are inner Jewish debates. Who is speaking truly about what Israel's God is doing in the world now? Now, we have seen in our own generation, tragically, as Josephus knew in his generation, that often these debates lead to violence. I remember when Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated in November 1995, I think it was. I remember saying to my children, watch this on television. It's very sad, but this is a defining moment as part of our generation. Alas, sometimes this has happened. It's not only Jews who do this, of course, it's British people, other people, American people who assassinate presidents who do all this. And it happens because people disagree sharply about who is speaking for Israel. So when Judas, who I take it was a really historical disciple of Jesus, when he decided that Jesus was now so out of line with his, Judas's agendas, he turned him in. And he got some cash out of it on the side. And that saying that is not an anti-Jewish thing to say. Of course it is perfectly possible, and has been done tragically, for Christians to tell the story in an anti-Jewish manner, but it's not anti-Judaism at all. It's simply, this was a typical, alas, inner Jewish debate, which might have been a typical inner American debate, but it happened to be a Jewish one. And that's the way it went. And when the chief priests had Jesus over to the ruling authorities, the Romans who had the authority to execute, this was simply what they would have done to all sorts of people who would have been troublemakers at the time. And saying this, telling this story, can be done again in an anti-Jewish fashion. We know that the Passion play at Oberammergau used to be staged in a very anti-Jewish fashion with the Jews as sort of cardboard villains, rather like in some of Wagner's operas. Some of the characters used to be almost sort of cardboard cutout hate figures in Judaism. Thank God Germany and Austria have by and large repented of that, and now this last time round the Oberammergau Passion play has really got rid of that stuff. But that doesn't stop the story being told, because the story isn't about let's be anti-Jewish. Jesus himself was Jewish and believed that it was the fulfillment of his Jewish vocation to die for the sins of the world. And really, if the story is anti-anything, it's anti-pagan, because it was the pagans whose system had brutalized everybody to the point where this kind of thing could happen.